With pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Jody.
Justin,
Here.
Mike,
Here.
Randy.
Here.
Charles,
Here.
Brenda. Here. Harrison.
Here. There's the home. Right. And so do we? I don't know who's running or who's picking.
I think this is a, fire budget meeting that we have been asked to be in attendance of. So I think,
Okay.
Have you guys any concerns?
I think it, well, you guys, wait, you guys requested this, so.
Yes.
We did? Okay.
Sarah.
I think the biggest reason we did, well, I don't remember requesting.
No, Sarah did.
I think the biggest concern is just ensuring that we are budgeting enough to match. Because last year we went over by, I think, 200 and something bucks. And we had to do an additional appropriation to cover that. $200 is immaterial, understood, but making sure that we're at least aligning so that we can properly budget. And then with the fire department recently submitting a request of some kind of incentivizing program, that's going to cause additional costs. The county has now made at least a one-time payment, probably going to be a reoccurring payment, but we're not sure, for fire budgeting that we can budget for 2026 of $6,000 that we can properly appropriate for the 2026 budget. So just coming to the table all at once so that it's not a back and forth or a third party kind of relay of information, and just talk about what fire needs, how we can properly, budget for it moving forward, and what we need to probably, I would like to see things put on a schedule, replacement schedule. I know something when I first came in as trustee, it kind of drove me nuts that we took out a loan for the fire truck. Just because we're paying interest, and, that kind of, if we can avoid that, that's obviously going to be the best. So how do we plan for these, especially the larger purchases? Do we put these on a schedule? I know that we have the ability to create a fire cumulative fund with additional tax levy, should we so choose to do so. I don't know that that's necessary, but we don't know that until we see what the schedule would look like, what needs to be replaced, what's the condition of the equipment. There's just a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
We had a pretty good layout out of that last meeting as far as like with the SCBA's every 2 years and
Yeah, he forgot.
and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, he laid out a pretty good plan for what to look forward to in the near future.
He sent that section, and I kind of, the one that's got my handwritten notes on it, he sent that to me today. I kind of copied that for everybody to let everybody know what was in the budget, what's kind of anticipated. Again, I know we talked about the incentive program, and I will say this to him, and I'm going to say it probably 5 times again tonight. So I was going to text, I heard me say it, but SB1 is coming. So if we put anything in place, it has to be reviewed year by year, because there's we can't, if they blow up the public safety funds, there's no way we can sustain that. So that's the only thing, is to put something in place. I don't want it to be like, hey, this is going to be every year. And I kind of talked about that too. There's your packets of stuff. Making sure we have it in the language that it's a year-to-year thing, because we may not be able to handle that in a year. And all these budgeting changes are going to happen in 27 with state bill. So what we budget for in 26 may get just totally blown away in 27. So I mean that's just something I've got to be. So
Well, maybe I'm a little slow. I guess I've heard that before. What Judy? Oh, good. What kind of incentive are we talking about? Is it a per run incentive? Have I not read my damn notes?
He's got a good point. It was at the end of the year. It was what, November, December.
He actually revised it and it's in this.
And good.
They both.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
They both.
Sit down, Jason, she's gonna say, you're gonna get us in trouble.
Yeah, because I haven't looked at my damn packet. She even said I have to make a copy for you guys, especially something about the old guys.
Yeah. Something like the geriatric group needs.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
in that group.
These guys,
You're not supposed to tell everything.
these guys just got their packets as well, so if you don't mind to walk through
Yeah.
those. for everybody, So we're all in the same.
They'll be back
Be
here.
great.
Yes, so we're on the incentive, right? I read it in my story. What? I got the email, so I memorized it.
Remember.
He is good.
But here's.
I can't even remember my email.
Yeah.
So
Hell with here.
the first page is like the quarterly point system incentives showing the funding proposal. Basically, that's breaking it down. What would be looking at. So emergency calls, monthly training audience, or monthly business meetings, we would be awarded 10 points for those. Anything we do in the community, like we do Boy Scouts, we do open house, any of the events that we go do throughout the town, they would get 5 points. And the quarter, 4 quarters of the year, they would have to get a minimum of 110 points. So they could get that with 11 runs, 11 meetings, runs, trainings, something like that. So basically that would add $62.50 each quarter that they could earn. In this, did you put that very last?
The one.
So in that, I did do a run, what this year, what it would look like. I think there's like 12 members that qualify or don't qualify. I mean, it's my sheet.
Give me count.
I've got it all written down.
There's 12 that qualify this year.
Yeah, so this one here is actually 12. So in the end, say all 12 of them do all 4 quarters, they get that. You're looking at $6,600 total. But to fund this, I'm asking because we have the 18 and I added 2 on for room. I highly doubt that we're gonna get there. There's probably gonna be some of these that fall off because if you look, we've got 7, 8 runs, well, they're under the 20%. That number should stay around that pretty close to that $6,600 a year that we're gonna end up needing, which we're already funding $3,000 for the clothing.
5,800 is what I spend every year
So she's spending $5,800.
current.
That's just the $200 that we are required every year for every member.
So every member, regardless of runs, they're
That's the
getting 200.
minimum. Most,
Okay.
But some of them get more.
yeah, most everybody are getting 400 and 300.
Yeah,
It's-
they,
but I-
like this last go around, he upped it up for her.
I think ours.
So right now I'm looking at making points where, say if somebody says, well, how does this person get this?
Mhm.
Well, this is how. They made 110 points per quarter. It's not because I felt like they needed that.
Right.
They showed up and helped. And right now, that's what we need is an incentive
Yeah.
for them to
So-
go up.
so-
Because they're not.
I got another simple question. The point system is probably a great thing, but how are you gonna do, you gonna have a sign-in sheet? You gonna have,
So every run, we have to make a run sheet. That run sheet has to be put into the state of Indiana
okay,
fired into their database. In that database, we can calculate between, they keep track of what every run is. That paper that's on the back of that,
Right.
that is where that comes
I
from.
think he was gonna.
This sheet here,
Short.
yeah,
that's what calculated that sheet for me, is image stream.
Now, did you calculate on that? I mean, the budgeting side of me says you have to calculate, everybody needs.
So I calculated everybody, plus 2 more members to make it a 20-person roster.
Okay.
And we're never gonna hit that, like I said.
21st, that's a max of $5,000 more a year.
Right, so you're gonna be at 10 grand max spending.
That's it. Everybody meets every quarter, they're 110 minimum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plus a 2 additional.
Plus 2 additional fire members.
But above 110 points, you're not getting any more
Right,
It's been 58.
based on, okay,
Yeah, right.
that's just to qualify for that.
right. To qualify for that and make it, you have to make 110, and like I showed right now, there's not all of them are making that right now, and they won't.
But
There's,
just because they didn't make it this quarter, they still have a chance to next quarter.
yes,
So if they got some family thing come up or whatever first quarter, okay.
Okay, so theoretically, we've got what, $6,000 for that, and is that an incentive money? I don't know how that works, like,
The $6,022 that the council released. Unfortunately, we didn't get it before budget time last year. So it's sitting there to be used. It can be budgeted for 26. The problem, I don't know what, I mean, it needs to go towards fire. But I don't know what it's gonna look like for 27 though either. We're supposed to know, I think, by June, isn't that?
so in that, yeah, the SOP part of that, I've wrote in there several times. This will be a yearly determined depending on budget. That way my guys know, and then that's something that we're gonna have to look at every year. Be determined if you still are able to get that to be used.
So as written right now in current form, maximum with 20 members, getting all their points, we're looking at $5,000 actually. But if we continue with the same arrangement, 2,500 on each side, guys, what we're looking at spending on top of what we're doing.
well, true, but I don't have 5 to get.
My thought process.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying, just to try to.
No,
Give
but
6.
here- So you start incentivizing this. There's money involved. Now you take it away. Say it goes for 3-4 years.
Mhm.
Now it gets taken away. What does that do to membership morale? You know what I mean? So then,
No.
and I'm not saying take it away. I think once it happens, it's gonna almost be expected that it continues.
Yeah.
So then how do we get creative to make sure that that 2,500 is there and 2,500 is here? If the county doesn't give that, $6,000.
And how this be money, what happens is I'll see if it would come up with the $200 that were required to come out person. They could.
Yeah.
What I would like to see
27
is that we utilize, I think this is the perfect time to start utilizing some of your all's 501c3 money. I don't necessarily mean all of it, but I think that if you guys have that fund, what better way than to put that back toward your members, right? If maybe it's a 3 ways, but I don't know. I think not trying to dip in your coffers too, but I think as I look at it, it's like, man, that'd be great if if we could get this going. But I think, I don't know what that fund looks like or what we're
Right.
talking, what kind of money. But to me, I think we need to have.
Think of that as on pretty good thoughts that this fund will go away. The what fund? The lit fund. The state.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
the one time, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not true.
that was my idea. The whole idea whenever it was all brought up to the commission was incentive fund. People involved.
Sure,
That
sure.
in the end was my thought process. The last one was if I had all these certifications, you were gonna pay me X amount of money. And then if this guy that shows up all the time didn't, so I talked to the area fire departments and they all use the point system. And I ended up drafting this out. That's how I came up.
Yeah, and I like that idea because like I say, it's accountability in case anybody ever questions the amount somebody else got or why they didn't get it or.
And I guess where I get in a bind is it because I'm paying it, I have to appropriate it all
Yeah.
and give it back. I don't have
Yeah.
the line item. I don't have the budget to do, I mean, I guess I could budget more public safety money, knowing that we're not,
That we're gonna.
I'll
get something
expend it,
back.
I'll get it back, but I can't touch it. I mean,
Yeah, right.
it's not like when you see that, say I put an extra 10 in there,
That it's actually theirs.
But
but
can
it's not there to spend.
I was on, the county safety money though, can't be used towards salaries though, Ken. I thought it had to be purchased on tangible purchases.
I don't know.
Public safety has been pretty,
Pretty open.
Which-
And it-
yeah, it has been pretty open-ended, which, okay, so then I can take some of the truck repair money.
Yeah,
I can
that's
play the
fine.
shell game,
Yeah.
but just know that
I
when
know
you see
that's what
it,
it was decided, what it was after, whenever it was all brought up and
Retained.
retained.
Yeah.
your part, I think his part that he got,
Yeah.
yes.
It was a retention and recruiting was the idea of
Yes.
that money.
The one time the one-time payment that the
Yeah.
county just made.
Yeah.
Right. I was talking about
Yeah.
the safety tax,
Well, like-
that we allocate 10,000 to fire, 10,000. I'm just thinking if the money that just came in goes away,
Yeah.
where does that get pulled from? Subsequent
You can-
years,
you
can we
can-
maintain that?
You can use public safety for salary.
Okay,
We pay,
Okay.
our school resource officer,
Yeah.
so, out of public safety.
gotcha.
You just-
It's pretty,
You just gotta be careful.
I
You
just
don't
don't,
want to put everybody in that case it goes.
yeah, yeah,
But you can do it, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
and like I said, this, it's could be doable, but then it's like, how do I do the 6? Like, if are you gonna do the whole 6, or are you gonna do?
Well, I think that it doesn't have a budgeted purpose right now. And I'm fine with that, although our tax levy is not going to cover much more than the 55,000 that we currently have budgeted for this year. I mean, without having to start raising that levy or start a fire cumulative fund, which is an additional property tax that I would like to try and avoid,
Yeah.
Mars is going to tonight.
which is what,
You guys don't have a cum fund there?
What Mars is trying to implement.
I was amazed they did. Oh, we had one in Robbins.
Yeah, we should have a long time ago.
But yeah,
You know, like Black Township, they've not done a raise in 30 years because they've had a cumulative fund and they've been putting all their extra money in.
huh, yeah,
so I'm definitely open to it. I would like to see, and maybe there is in here, and I'm just not seeing, what's the incentive for the additional certifications? Because right
I'm
now,
not doing anything for extra certifications because a certification don't do me good if that certification don't show up, but this guy does. That's just, I've got the certifications to do that, but I'm not showing up to help you, so, but you're not getting extra money.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain ones that are required for you to do basically anything, but
Yeah, like
a lot more of those certifications, if there's systems like ours was, is like good for promotions and stuff like that.
Right, like the way ours stands, to be chief, you have to have medical certification, you have to have fire 1 and 2, you have to have all your, NIMS, there's several things, you have to have your hazmat, all that. There's 4 guys on there that have that, that qualify for that, but, you know, we don't pay extra for certifications.
yeah, I guess that makes sense right now. While you're just trying to get people or keep people be down the road.
Yes, because those certifications, they can drive you nuts. I mean, you can have a class every night of the week.
Especially,
It's true.
Especially if what they're going to, because
now for medical certification that started last month, every time you audit, you have to put all your paperwork in before. You
Oh.
even, because used to you could just hit the button and hope for the best.
Yeah,
Not get audited.
But everybody has audited in that?
yeah, I got audited about every other year.
So we're getting ready to probably lose half of our medical team because they haven't been making trainings.
And really kind of, even in that 26, if you, I think we have to look at these.
Yeah.
Other expenses, because
We have about 350.
we do about 350 runs a year.
That's trainings, runs, and public.
Oh.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
we,
I
we
well, I
won't,
thought, God dang, I ain't heard the sirens go off 64.
We only did one public. So that's all trainings and runs except for one public.
but the big sales.
I was a little confused. I told you I'm slow, but
Figured it out, explain it.
is there a cap per run? Something that you could put? I'm trying to think all the what ifs here. Like how many do you have show up at one run? depending on what the run is. Is there,
If it's during the day, you're gonna have one if you're lucky.
okay,
During the evening, you're gonna have 1 to 5 if you're lucky.
Okay.
Depending on what it is, if grandma fell off the toilet at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're probably gonna have 1 or 2. If you got a fire, you're gonna have probably 5 or 6.
You think the point system, I like that better for what you're getting at? Cause I can remember even when I was on the fire department, we talked about, doing like a Onesville did, paid per run.
Mhm.
And we said, well, okay,
they get the first 10 runs.
call or go pick somebody up and, all of a sudden 12 people show up because they're not gonna have to do anything, but they're gonna get $5.
Yeah.
But this, I do think maybe also that some, you're gonna have to build those points,
Right now,
And right now, we're probably just scraping to get people,
right now, I'm just trying to think of a way to make people come.
get them there, yeah.
Yeah, the
sure.
retention thing.
Because
We'll do something and then everybody's like, well, why didn't I get told about that? Well, I talked about it for 2 months at my meetings. Sorry.
That you didn't show up to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Show up to a meeting, get 10 points at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm scraping,
Like you said, the bottom barrel right now to try to figure out.
And sometimes coming to a meeting is as important as going to a fire, because that way you know what.
To me, I'm gonna make meetings over going runs because it's not worth me driving 5 miles for a little medical run and I get down here and they're headed to Evansville or headed back to the ambulance when I pull up. That's the way I always looked at it because your meeting to me is your most important because it lets you know all your trainings that you can hit for the month. It lets you know everything that's going on for the month. If you don't make a meeting, then you don't know what's going on the rest of the week.
That and fire runs are the two most, to me, the two most important things are the meetings and fire runs. And don't get me wrong. My neighbor one time, she had a heart attack and I had to do the CPR all the way to Evansville because I was first one on the scene. And the medics couldn't have did it themselves. But it's all very important and I know that, but man,
Yeah, basically I wouldn't want to start this until 25 and then, 26, sorry. Yeah. And then, like I said, the funding goes in now. And if we get the funding, we're gonna know. If not, we can cancel that out. And I made my membership aware. Everybody read the SOP last week. And on the SOP I had for them to read, I had highlighted, this is a yearly basis, that it will go away basically at some point.
could, yeah.
Are you able to generate enough in your 501? Are you able to generate each year? Do you typically generate enough each year to cover this if need be?
We do, but I don't know that we buy a lot of our new equipment out of that. Like all of our excavation equipment has all come out of that. Our ADs 2 years ago.
Excavation equipment was donated.
That money went into the 501c3, then we went and bought it.
Okay.
Is there a possibility we could write it up to where if needed, we could tap into their 501c3? Like if that passes and then in 26, or 27, we don't have money to do 50/50 on this.
Well, the bill's passed, so it's coming. When we get ready to do the 27 budget, it just won't happen.
Well, what about if he pitches in a third? Will that help?
So on their 501c3. Some of my other expenses, I'd much rather not. Because truthfully, Jody, they would have to come out of those expenses, right? My budget that I've got now.
Yeah, if,
Just what I've went through and sent you today, we're doing good to stay afloat on that.
so everything you've sent me is that what we will pay, but so then what is the 503c paying again?
Right now, any of the new equipment that we buy, right now, we're letting it accumulate.
Well, I think, I
are
think that's good, but I think if we're gonna do something, we're okay, and I would want to see some skin in the game from that fund.
Right now, we're looking at buying a new air compressor out of that fund for 15 grand.
Yeah.
So at that time, that fund will be shot.
Looking for, that's the fill.
Bottles. That's 3 years of accumulation, so.
Yeah, because that's so like your donation letter, like the mailer and stuff, that goes into there, right?
That's all that goes in there.
So to speak. And any other, like your donation for the extra education equipment and stuff.
Well, the education, that was just the donation for, they requested that be used for education equipment.
Right. But you got, somebody gave you the money about
Yeah.
that, so it would, yeah.
That's what Jason and I talked about. Donations are a wonderful thing. We had that happen at the school a lot.
Yeah.
You hate to look at gift horse in the mouth, but people give you this money and someone has to sustain that. And if we don't know that, like we didn't know about the certification and getting the equipment checked and
Yeah.
it went in the budget, so. I mean, we have enough
I mean, the entire
to
question.
make it
is
slide this
sustainability.
year, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's gonna be the thing we have time to figure out.
Because I think the very worst thing we could do is implement it and then take it away.
Yeah.
The previous equipment that was in there was getting the same thing, though. It was also getting serviced every year.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not just because that's donated equipment.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't want to show up on notification in your equipment.
The way that stuff works is so right now, we have a local vendor that we are only able to buy a certain brand from. He is the one that services our equipment. He guarantees a lifetime warranty. If the battery goes out, jaws break, whatever, he comes out, fix it, no charge. Well, we're a year and a half out from having everything serviced right now. Should be a year. And he said, if I get it done in a month, I'll keep your lifetime warranty on all 5 pieces of equipment. If not, then stuff starts breaking and we're liable for it.
It's just a real possibility you can have, I mean, we can't really put budget numbers in, but 26, but it's a real possibility in 27. We'll know more by the end of the year, but
You talk about just the thing.
yeah, the incentive,
Incentive.
the whole budget process could look different anyway. But
Well, it's nice to, like, is that like a one-time deal with that service agreement? So it's a lifetime service agreement? Because it's a one-time payment, always every year.
As long as you have to do it every year to keep the lifetime warranty.
I mean, we're using public safety for us.
That they do all the oil changes towards everything inspectable. That equipment with the interstate gets used a lot.
Yeah.
As far as, and I know we talked about this before, I don't know, are we billing, are we back to billing for?
We haven't built nothing.
That's
There hasn't been, we haven't had anything that we could bill for. Yeah, we've not. So the only billing that we would do would be out of town. Well, we've not had anything that wouldn't be able to be billed. We don't bill residents that are paying taxes.
You guys bill for, hazardous waste cleanup on Rex?
We don't do hazardous, so we just
You don't do
contain
that?
it and stop it, and then, tri-state towing comes in, and then he'll stop and drop off new booms and diapers, whatever we use, and then some.
But you got, so like the car fire the other day, right? We have one
In town.
right here. So you build an insurance. It's right
Main,
here,
St.
St.
Francis.
Yeah. So like, so you guys wouldn't bill insurance, try to bill for that. Losing some opportunity there, aren't we?
Something that was decided a long time ago not to build anything in town.
In town or town residents?
Town residents. And the way I understood it in town, but we haven't been building anything for a while.
Well, I understand not sending a town resident a bill, like, bill to roll a truck, but they're going to bill their insurance.
Insurance, lifetime, that's,
Yeah, and that's what,
that was something that was decided a long time ago. That stuff's every time.
yeah, I think if I want to revisit that,
Something we look into.
The way it was always looked at is you're
people are paying taxes, don't want to affect them by affecting their insurance and raising rates.
I mean, on that note, I would prefer that if my house didn't catch on fire, I don't have to pay more taxes next year because the house on the corner burned down.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, the money has to come from somewhere. If the person that had the issue, their insurance is willing to, homeowners will pay a fire fee if they show up and do work.
Yeah, and if they have a ring or something, their insurance is gonna go up anyway. So that minimal fee that you're gonna charge is not really gonna make a difference.
I mean.
Yeah, I think
In the
We
story,
gotta find the big.
everybody's getting money, so.
everybody's built, yeah, I mean, I think I like that. I like the sentiment behind what whoever came over that was thinking. But I mean, if they've had if you guys have come out and there's reason to bill, their insurance is going up. So, I mean, they've had an insurance, there's a claim, there's, you know, I mean, as long as we're not sending it to their house. Brenda has a wreck, we don't mail her from it.
Right.
But it's still her insurance. I think you guys are probably missing a lot of funds there. Or a potential person coming with it.
I mean, that goes, it'd just be tucked away for
I will tell you,
repair and replace.
And it could be a case that the insurance pays $100, but it pays the points that the guys that go, it would pay them, you know, they get.
I will
Offset some
throw this out there. It takes a lot to get an insurance company to pay and a lot of time.
Well,
A lot of
who's the company Wadesville's using? Because there's a company that'll do it all for you, and they'll just take skim off the top.
Take like 10% out of it.
Yeah.
Or something like that, but you
You'll
gotta
get 90% or something is better than 100%.
Yeah,
get it all,
because you guys basically just submit to that company,
Right,
then they would handle,
right.
get the rates for the insurance term.
Originally, we were seeing it all.
Uh,
Originally, it was all being handled in-house.
That's right, yeah.
That'd be quite a burden on you guys. We have to do all that.
not worth it whenever you're getting $100.
No, but if this company, you know, they're only taking from what they're getting.
Yeah.
Kind of contingency fee, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like 90% better.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt. But
Bird in the hand.
it may, and it's not necessarily something for tonight's meeting, but I think that's a way to offset some of these other costs.
We're gonna have to be creative.
Because you may have to in 27.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have to be creative.
We're gonna have to be real creative in how we generate money, because the way the new budget is, there's not, well, they've already said we can tax the people in, income tax. I mean, they come up with all kinds of creative ways that we do it.
That's,
Yeah,
they're pushing it on the local.
They're trying to put the burden on us.
Yeah.
I think you brought up the best point though, is that charging those, that pays for this point system.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are showing up that are gonna get it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that essentially pays for this incentivized.
It's about finding a way to get it done.
But I think we outsource it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Don't
I
put that
wouldn't
stress
want
on
Don't
you.
mark that burden on you.
No.
You need to reach out to Wadesville and see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be, if you don't.
Especially I see with all the wrecks we get on 64 and stuff like that. I mean, that could be.
Yeah, that's kind of a catch.
Yeah, make the other.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
Yes. Right, I mean, I hate that, but, yeah, that's.
It'd be best if we did contract with them and it comes through here, and that way we just put it where we're putting it in.
Yeah.
we could you take that money that we get and put it right back into the guy's incentive money. And that way, even if it's $4,000 a year, it's $4,000 you didn't have.
With that, would we be able to set up a cumulative fund that money would go into? And it would stay in that fund?
Just for the incentivized program.
Yeah.
I
I
think.
mean, you're gonna be
So directly to your market buyers and build that out.
really fluid, yeah.
Then you could, I mean, potentially start paying for certifications and who wants to spend a little more time and get the additional accreditation.
Well, something like that, it'd be nice just to have something that will accumulate.
Yeah.
And eventually, if it was to get big enough, it could be a big ticket item.
Sure.
Yeah, because I mean, we could do that through resolution, couldn't we? Just do a resolution to create a line. And then that is, the idea is that is the fund the incentive program if the fund's available or
Yeah.
something to that effect. I mean,
I think it would have to go into the general, but then you could, through
but
resolution.
have that one, yeah.
I could create a separate fund though, within the general account.
Mhm.
office just for that.
Yeah,
Because then we can kind of track it, what's coming in and out.
Yeah. and I think it creates outsourcing, it does not put the burden on you all, but it does create the incentive to submit to the reports. The department's not submitting the reports, we're not getting money, and the fund's not going, you know
Well, how
what?
does that work? Do you send like your NIPRS report to to this company?
Probably. We're already
Like,
taking,
when you're sending to the state, you just send one of them too?
probably.
The
We're already,
insurance info, and then they,
Yeah.
apparently then they run with it, and,
we're already taking
Yeah,
insurance info on the regs
Yeah,
yeah.
because
I mean, you have to have one to
we have
make
to
a
have
reporting,
one
right?
for state reporting.
I'm sure this company that comes off top is gonna make sure it's a real easy process.
Oh, I bet, yeah, I bet they know the best way to get access to that.
That's what.
Just give us access. You go in and get it.
Oh,
They
yeah.
may- They may even have a database that
Yeah.
a person can work through.
And you're- Yeah, and to your point, the insurance not one to pay, they've got that perfected. That's a revenue.
They know, that company knows how to get paid.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll call them and see if we can't reach out and they can get some contact.
yeah, I think it
I think I think
benefits all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, I understand not wanting to charge people for runs and stuff, but today's day and age, we have to keep up with the times. You know, we're trying to keep up with the times to get the guys a little more money.
I've been working on a budget for a week and I'm thinking, I don't know how we're gonna do this.
Yeah, so well, you need to pass that cost on to the person that's utilizing the service.
Almost like
Or you spread it,
The user fee.
it's everybody and stuff. I mean, that's
But
fair.
really, it's not coming out of the resident of town.
Now I get.
Because they're, like I said, their
Regarding
insurance is gonna raise regardless of how much that. Claim is.
Well, but if you're helping grandma up off the, like you said, off the toilet, and she's a town resident, been paying taxes for.
Careful, I'm close to that age.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, I mean, are you going,
I'm glad I'm not on the medics.
will it just be?
You wear body cam on YouTube.
Grant County EMS is charging every single customer, person that they receive.
Through the EMS, yes. So Posey County used to. I heard they quit.
Did I say Grant?
If they-
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Grant County in Kentucky was a long time.
Don't admit you're from Kentucky.
Yeah, they don't charge if they don't pay.
Since we are on that subject,
Becomes another can of worms.
I know,
It's full of worms.
I know through the past, the whole idea with EMS being on our station was they would supply all of our equipment to be replaced. He is generating a new process where we will have QR code. We have to scan it with our mobile phone, fill out what we need. And within a week, he will re-deliver that equipment back to our station for us, fill our bags.
A week?
So during this, we're gonna have to have equipment setting on our station that we can pull off shelf. He gives us the new equipment, we can put it back.
Yeah.
Doing the quick look throughs, we're looking at probably $1,000 a year.
For like emergency storage,
To keep
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
on.
keep stuff and stuff.
Otherwise, we're not gonna do it. But with this, he is going to be doing away with the oxygen bottle program. So we're going to buy our own oxygen bottles. He is going to fill them in Mount Vernon. We have to get them to him to be filled. And then we have to get them back to our stations.
I can help you with that, but what?
Can we not talk to the county about getting those extra supplies on our shelf to have that rotation?
The way they're basically stating it right now, we will be buying our own equipment. And rotation.
Is there anything we can, go to the county to take on that initial cost?
So here's some of the things that's been said throughout the different fire departments. Ours is now looking at charging monthly fee for staying on their station. Because if you look at my electricity, gas, or water, it's all high. It would not be nowhere near that if it was just our guys on there.
Yeah.
Wadesville is looking at now at their cost billing EMS for all their supplies and him reimbursing them. So I mean, they're looking at several different ways. We've not had another chiefs meeting since this was brought up, but Paul didn't even show up at the last one to present this. He sent one of his guys to present it, and he left pretty quick after he.
But you know, honestly, that's a good idea. I mean, if they've got cost cutting measures to where they're gonna start charging us to do stuff, and maybe we reciprocate, said, okay, like start charging you for using the fire station.
Like my biggest thing now, they've put AC units on their truck. They keep their trucks, heat and AC, they keep their trucks 72 degrees year round. You sit down there in the station, it runs continuously. There's 5 great big fans up there running. I don't know what our electric bill would go to.
They keep the truck running, or
They have an exterior AC installed to it now. And it's leaking condensation in, and every day they have to pull the truck out and sweep the condensation out of the bay because there's not a drain in there. They just keep taking much more.
It's an electric,
They use
it's
it
an
as
electric air conditioner.
it plugs into the wall.
And they're just sitting there around.
Your utility bill?
Yes.
Is there any rumor that they're gonna build a 2-bay?
So their commissioners that are local laughed and said they wish. That has not been approved and the property was not.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can't
I
imagine.
heard,
I would.
I was told by one of the ambulance guys, they're gonna build a 2-bay thing out there by the county garage right now. It's been approved by the commissioners.
That's what they all.
And we're gonna be done here in Poseyville. I said, I don't give a shit. What-
January 1st.
So it is, that has stalled, but that is very much a possibility.
Well,
It was, so when we, last year, when we were, Crawford was still chief and he had come in, we were talking about some different costs and their TV and internet and charging them to be down, charging them rent. And so I started talking to the county and they said, okay, here's the deal. We're willing to talk and figure something out, but so you don't think this is punishment for charging us. We are looking at expanding the county garage and putting an ambulance bay out there. And
They will send you staying here versus a brick and mortar.
yes, Micheletti, that, the EMS director, it was his thought because the ambulances are outgrowing our bay. Because they're about to.
Their max
And
size.
they're getting like, it's close.
It's close.
But that, so the last I talked to county commissioners, that's been a few months ago. That's all died down, but it's not dead. I mean, so I think it's dying more with the SB1. Probably, but, yeah, I mean, it was very much.
Because they even talked to Nick's companies
Mhm.
about rentals, one of them buildings down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Jared said, that's fine.
Yeah, let a private company give them free utilities. You see how long that happens?
Oh, yeah, and that's, Jared said there's no water, no sewer in it, so you're gonna have to pay to get that in there. And then he, of course, Jared does all that, and he said,
But if
this is what you have to come up with, and this is gonna be your rent. He said they never came back.
If we maintain partnership though with the EMS, we have an aged population. I'd love to keep them here.
I know.
I would too.
If we could, if we
Amen.
build a new fire station with bigger, medical bays or whatever. And partnership that way. If they're gonna build out here, maybe that's something we can get grant money and partner with them instead of building a new facility.
They are saying
I don't know,
a double agency station is easy to get funding for it.
EMS and fire?
You can do police and fire.
Police and fire.
You can do EMS and fire. You can do,
Yeah,
that's
right.
I just said keep them here.
Just put me walls.
It doesn't seem like much, but 5-minute drive
I'm just.
is a lot.
It is. Well, and the problem, I want to hear this down, obviously.
Yeah.
For our residents, but you also got to think Griffin, Stewartsville, and Cynthia.
It's so
That's
easy to
that
get
much
from
more.
here.
If, you're right. It doesn't seem like it's far out there. But
It
you
is.
think, good God.
Take
That's a
your
whole lot more
practice
than-
back.
Yeah.
That's 15 minutes.
They run
That was a concern and I argued that and voiced that in those conversations, but it was being pushed very heavily a year ago. I mean, I think right now. It's not on the rise.
With new SB1, you're just allowing us to come down.
Yeah. Absolutely. And,
I mean, I'm not saying $2,000 a month fee.
yeah.
Oh, no. Some of it 400.
What cover
So
cost?
is he's not charging for the supplies, he's just wanting kind of to have a
We're
better,
gonna have
what
to
you're getting.
recoup our own, we will have to buy our own oxygen bottles. He will no longer because he's paying like $7,000 a month or a year, 7,000 a year for oxygen, and that's too much.
So it sounds like you should come up with $7,000 worth of internet and heat and electric bills.
That's where I'm at. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
And that could recoup some of our,
Sure, just wash it
things
out.
we need.
Was there anybody else that we can actually contact, maybe have them fill our oxygen?
It's a steal. You ain't building nothing for that.
right.
In the area that fills them other than them?
Well, I mean, the company that comes now,
I'm pretty sure whoever filled ours is,
Just give
all
this
they,
big boy a new
they actually, they provided the bottles and they filled them.
Air Gas is who's supplying that now, which they're doing through Ohio Valley.
Yeah, how valid, yeah.
but might as well just kick the middleman out and just go straight to Air Gas and have the oxygen delivered.
Yep.
So I got a quote from Air Gas, and this was all news to him that Paul Magnoletti was even talking about getting rid of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, surprise, surprise.
I'm at plug in here, sorry if something comes back, but
It'd be $841 for the one,
Nix is a big
for the
user
bottles.
of oxygen.
For the bottles, how many?
That's,
I mean, Nix.
10 bottles.
Selling torches. and things, they use a lot of
Yeah,
oxygen.
Is that per bottle or
Eight,
$84 a bottle
I think that might be.
no, it's $841 for all.
Co-op in.
All 10.
for all 10?
I don't know if it's pure. I don't know the,
Oh, but then you're probably right.
Yeah, it's been out at 200
There's a percentage difference.
one on the other 3 trucks. And then we've got 3 guys that packed medical bags, including myself, with oxygen now.
Did he give you an estimate on what it?
He didn't give me a cost on resupplying them, but to fill those bottles.
Wash your hands.
It-
Good.
It's not.
Oh,
Okay.
Smell my hand.
It's $22 each. to refill those bottles.
Now, does he just do the exchanges and fill them on site?
You have to have them filled. He can't sell them in an empty bottle.
Oh, you mean
That's
the
not,
initial,
yeah.
the initial cost?
And then-
I'm sorry.
And then with me working in Mount Vernon, I would do the rotation on bottles, getting them filled. I'd drop them off on my way in and then pick them up on my way out.
Okay.
When are we anticipating that?
We don't know.
That's just in the process of discussions now.
He said, something with his QR code deal that's put in behind. But I've not heard anything on that yet. I even looked up at FDIC, I could buy a $50,000 machine to fill out SCBA bottles, and it also has some cups for the D bottles. But looking at 10 to 15,000 dollar compressors is it.
What about, community foundation, Posey County Community Foundation,
Just to get the bottles.
to get the machine? I'm on that committee, or I was on that committee. I don't know if I still am.
What's the cost to maintain?
But
this
for next
machine?
year. But
So-
we funded that.
Just the compressor that I'm looking at is like $40 a year. That's a filter and oil.
Yeah. I don't.
Then could you charge other departments to fill theirs?
Well, this is just to fill our big bottles. The machine that we looked at a bunch of different machines, because right now we manually take our still bottles to Wadesville or Smith and we fill those. We got 6, 8 of them. And we bring them down, we put them back on our machine. It's called a Cascade. Then we refill our little bottles that we breathe out of. I'm looking at a compressor that I can fill these bottles, but that's only gonna cost around 16. But if like FDIC, they had one sitting there that would fill those little bottles plus do everything I needed to do, but for the 50,000. 50, 50 dash.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I was gonna say 15 sounds pretty good.
No.
50.
No, the 15 zone's just buy me a compressor and us getting hooked up to fill my bottles.
which is what we're trying to do, so we're not lugging these big bottles around.
I mean,
if we get grants for that, it's something we need to look at long term, you know, need to look down the road on that kind of a project, so.
Right.
But that's not gonna get any cheaper or any easier if we have to rely on somebody else.
Well, and I have to believe, I mean, I've been Stranger Things happened, I should do that first, but if they're talking about doing this, they're gonna have to do some budget, everybody's got to do budgeting.
Well, that reminds me, that is the cork that he hit, is the machine that he is needing to do this is 70 grand. And I guess he went to the commissioners with it and they shut it down.
Okay, so this is, yeah, so this is.
That was the cork.
Okay.
Now, the QR coding will, but we're gonna have to do our own supplying until we can get ready to solar viable items, and then.
That should be just a one-time purchase.
Right, but I
Right.
don't know why we couldn't, maybe
I mean, we have probably in our medical,
community
Well-
foundation, that would be a great grant for the community foundation.
that, or I was gonna say.
Yeah,
what
that'd be
we-
easy one, it's small.
what we have in our medical will probably work with this. And then continuing because we're looking at a new doctor.
Yeah,
Our SOPs are for our medical or from OT. And we talked to our doctor. He has no intention of doing anything different. So we're looking at moving doctors, and with that, we'll be able to do, sugar testing. There's gonna be a lot more stuff that we're gonna do, but with that, bring some items that expire yearly. But it will do better for the community.
Yeah.
But like I said, that $600 will be enough in that fund for that.
When this
So-
is-
So I want to, I guess, so we definitely are going to look into the billing option. Think that'll help us maybe generate some funds to talk, be able to talk about the incentive program. But I don't know where are we on potentially for next year's budget? We need to, we don't even really know right now. Do we know what?
I mean, I would have to put a number, that's what I'm getting ready to do, we would have to. I have absolutely nowhere to move in this budget with the additional things. I have nowhere to move, yeah, to get extra money, so even if I'm talking about, I have nowhere. I cut the budget a little bit this year because rule of thumb, historically, is you should at least have a year's operating in reserves. We were just a little short. So I was trying to cut, everybody got cut, even including myself, trying to get that there. And with all the things that have happened, unforeseen to us right now, I'm gonna have to do an additional appropriations anyway, so, that savings is not gonna come this year. So if I did it, I would have to pull it out of, just so you know, the lit, make additional appropriations there to cover it. I mean, even I'm getting out of it back. I still gotta do the appropriations to get it out, you know? And that is also, we're using part of that for our truck payment, so that balance is gonna. I mean, the ADJOURNMENT will pass the budget, so they will do, they don't care if we can sustain it or not.
Yeah.
For the incentivizing point system, that 6,000 from the county will cover that. So if we did a one-time seed money type thing for the first year, we don't know what that's gonna look like. That could continue to come from the county, all depending upon what yearly expenses are gonna look like moving forward. I mean, like I said, that 55,000 that we got right now is pretty well awash. That's exactly what we're bringing in. We can't raise it anymore without eating into our surplus, and we have a surplus of roughly 2 operating years, which is, nice to sit at. If we start eating into that, we've really got to start looking long-term, how that's going to replenish itself. I think the smartest thing is charging for these runs. I think that's going to pay for that incentive.
Would you pay your 6,000 out of there, or would you write check for 6,000, how does that?
It would have to be an additional agreement based on our contract, because we have a 50-50 split.
Right,
So it would have to be an additional agreement that Bill can write up for a 2026
yeah,
budget year. And at the end of the year, whatever they get paid, because it's a one-time payment, correct?
correct.
So at the end of the year, we would just reimburse, as the township, whatever that expense is for the 2026 budget year.
See, if you reimburse me though, I have to appropriate it.
Yeah, are you,
Or I guess it could be.
are you, I was gonna say, can you pay it straight to the fire department?
What's the amount, the maximum amount that you would,
The
that
max,
a member would get paid? You said 550.
yeah, 550.
So it'd be under the $600 amount. So it'd be
But
it would usually need to be a 1099.
200 of that's gonna come out of,
Well, yeah, so the maximum on the incentive only, maximum is
Well-
$250 per member. It's- But that's already coming from.
right.
Yeah.
We've already got.
Might be 100 this year.
So I think through ordinance, we can pass it.
Mhm.
And it wouldn't even have to go through the town.
So what we could do is, when he gives me the list, I could say, well, we're gonna do this, I mean, we'll try to figure it out to a point where, okay, I'm gonna pay these top 5 people, you may have to pay the bottom, depending on how it looks.
Well, we'd get a town, everybody get a town and everybody get a township.
Yeah.
Oh, you could do
And,
split.
and I do think something also that I think it's gonna, we need to go back to 200 a year. Because we've kind of given a lot of leeway over the last few years on letting the chiefs decide that this guy gets 400 because he's the safety officer and this guy gets, but I think that's probably gonna need to be reined in. Everybody gets 200 and then incentive, whatever they earned.
Yeah, that's
And I'm open to an incentive though, based on that. I mean, whatever you do, the 400. I don't think that everybody should get a flat rate. I think if you have additional certifications and you're providing a better service on site, or you're taking on additional responsibilities with the department, those should all
and I'm not gonna lie,
be kicks of some sort.
thought about, say, I'm telling you 10 grand is gonna be my top, but the way it looks, I'm only gonna use 6,600 if everybody goes. I thought about that with those additional funds, but I've not got to figure that out.
Well, and
I would need some kind of
You know,
schedule
say-
whenever we pay that. It's got to be based off of that. And that would have to be written into the ordinance.
Say I do 110 points, so at the end of the year, you got 440 points. Well, this guy's got 800, then he can get another additional, and then, but the only thing is, then they're paying a tax on that. Well, I guess they wouldn't know if you're paying part of it, and she's paying part of it.
Clothing allowance doesn't count for tax. That's not a payment
yeah.
to your firefighters, that's
We
actually
have
just.
some clothing allowances of reimbursement. basically.
Correct. It's under 600.
They took it to that one point in time.
self-fire department, with $600.
Mm.
Yeah. It's whatever, I mean,
Well, it's a pretty damn good jump. in it,
Yeah.
too.
the thing about it is, and I don't believe just because your name is on the list, you should get $200. If you didn't show up to squat and you haven't seen you all year,
By truth,
But that's state though, isn't it?
by truth,
In the law.
RSLP states you have to make 20%.
okay. I
But
get that.
that's.
Yeah.
So it's for active.
Never been
The
enforced.
state-
It's never been
it's for
enforced
active
until
members.
June.
But they determine who's active.
If your
June
department
this year,
has a
your
policy determining who's active.
And then they don't.
I'll
but
be sending out
never
letters.
enforce
So
Anybody
then they
that's
submit
under
at the end of
20%.
the year who they're active.
They have 6
Sponsor is
months.
for payment. Okay.
it. They send a utility and then they say.
Get those
people
numbers
qualify.
back up to 20%, and then we re-vote on it.
So yeah, I mean, there is a
Mechanism.
kind of a way around it, but here's the other side of it too, I will say. Because we kind of ran into this at the end of last year. If they were an active member for a day, the statute doesn't give a time limit.
Right.
So my argument, if I got told that I didn't make 20% of the runs half the year through, I'd say, well, yeah, but I was good earlier. The statute says I was an active member at one time.
But I saved that line. I didn't get on that one run that I go out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a rabbit hole for another day, but, yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, sustainability is gonna be the issue. Because we pay these folks for a year and then yank it out from under them.
Yeah,
You think we're hurting now?
Like I said,
Yeah,
Nobody's
they're gonna get used to it.
Yeah.
1 year.
Like I said, and if we can get the insurance thing taken care of, then that would be a good way to sustain that.
You just get the
That would
insurance
take
to
care of
pay for that 6,000.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's five, yeah, at 20 members, everybody maxed out, we know they have, but it'd be five.
And that projected out.
I mean,
Through the end of this year.
You know, I mean, and surely the guy would be working up crashes for that,
Just in that fund.
or at least a large chunk of it.
I mean, then you gotta figure out what the insurance company to figure out. Have to look at the people that can deal with insurance, and what the additional tax, and what kind of rate you're gonna charge for
The
a rate.
rate, that's also.
Yeah.
Neither one of us.
The state fire marshal
Usually cares. I still in charge. Let's get creative.
ask you another question. You say now they're plugging in,
So they've always plugged it.
they've always plugged in to keep the motors, their diesel motors, or they've always plugged in to keep their.
Drug box.
Yeah, they're drug box.
Narcotic box.
Now they're keeping the whole truck. The 72.
When did they start, have,
Yeah,
when,
Oh,
we'd have to look at our electric bill. I haven't,
About a month and
no,
a half ago.
I thought it was hot.
okay. So you,
When I
I
put it
didn't
in this
notice
month,
that
I'm like,
went up.
what?
It was about a month and a half ago, we was down there for a training, and I'm like, what is that sound? And I open up the door and you can't even stand in the bay.
Oh my gosh.
How come they're doing the whole truck?
Because they're required, is what their medics were saying, to keep it 72 now. But I should not be footing that bill for that thing sitting there running. We can go down there and stand for probably 5 minutes and it's gonna kick on a day like today. That 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, what the hell's gonna do when it's 95 outside
It's gonna run.
with 100% humidity on it, zero?
And then they sit there with the door open.
Exactly.
Smoke.
Which one? Yeah.
They don't smoke so bad anymore. They're not back smoking.
Don't say that. My daughter will walk in that room down there and go, Dad, it smells disgusting in here. It stinks up our whole room. And I brought that up in chiefs meetings.
They're not sleeping, they're not smoking in it though.
No, but they stand in there with the truck
Bay room is what he.
and they chain
You
smoke.
make everything smoke-free environment, you gotta be
We've
so.
already-
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
And there's oxygen.
We shouldn't even have to post it. I mean, it's.
It's posted. 8
Is it?
feet away.
Yes, yeah, that's,
But then they stand down there where it's 15 degrees outside with. the
Yeah, I
door
did
open
think today.
And smoke. And then they go inside and leave the door open.
What are they doing?
So who can enforce that rule though? I mean, do you go down there and tell them you can't smoke with the door open, or do you guys?
Could get interesting.
Well, I'm just asking who's gonna enforce that rule,
Yeah.
because it's a rule. I mean,
I don't care. I've told them 100 times.
okay.
You see how
Okay,
much they
you
listen
tried.
to me.
All right.
I mean, who, yeah, the wheelhouse, who the hell enforces it up there?
Yeah, I mean, technically it's state law and it'd be 8 feet or whatever.
It'd be a ticket, yeah.
It'd be a police
Just like if he
citation.
speed, he catches me speeding, he's gonna give me a ticket. I mean, it's a law, but I know. I know.
What you do today?
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm just thinking, how
Just
do you
saying.
maintain neighborhood?
Somebody needs
We need to have a talk with the director.
Yeah, I would think that
The director
director would
needs to
have
put
to
out-
be,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
I think that's gonna be the most diplomatic.
Yeah.
Because I don't want tensions to continue to
Right.
rise, and I don't want to continue to explore offsite locations. You know, we want to make sure that this is,
And the first best thing to do is a face to face.
Sure.
Yeah. You think?
Go ahead.
Well, and I think, I don't mind at all to revisit with the commissioners now, especially with that building being less of a reality. You know, we need to get a hold of Bill and start the conversation on a rent, on a possible rent.
what's that gonna look like future wise?
Yeah, I mean, because
Is that
now,
a contract basis? Is that?
yeah, I
Well,
mean,
especially if say our electric bill does double because now they gotta do the whole, I mean, that's a shit pot full of money.
I mean, we spend
Where-
$4,000 a year just on the electric. bill. And
Yeah.
Right now, it's already at 3,800, so it's gonna
They-
be, yeah, oh my God.
That's ridiculous.
the weather's been decent.
I think,
I mean, rainy, but.
Temperature-wise,
yeah.
Huh?
1,600, 3,800 about.
Yeah.
1,600.
About.
But
Let's fix
still, it's,
But
it's
still, that's on
already,
track for almost
yeah.
8,000.
it is, because it's 70% all.
And it's not even hot.
Yeah, it's not, that's why I was thinking, it's not even options.
It's the same entities that's doing the whole, making us have a stock of medical supplies.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need
you
to.
missed her.
And I don't, like I said, I don't blame it. Right now, you gotta be creative. But you're kind of tight and, but then we're in the same
We're gonna
boat.
be creative too.
Yeah, we gotta be creative too.
She put a line item in there for, what did you put for $5,000 for budget maintenance?
Mhm.
I got one quote on that gutter, which it fell off the station last night in the heavy rain, so it looks like crap down there. It's all hanging off, but that's $5,500.
Holy
Geez,
guacamole.
who'd that come from?
Ace. I
I'll
sent
get
you
back
that
to
text.
Yeah, I'll get back to
Are they doing the
I haven't heard back
whole,
from.
the whole station?
Lane bolts.
We're gonna just the back.
Okay.
You guys
But
want
that's some wood being replaced and new flashing and stuff too, right?
That's new gutter,
Yeah.
new soffit, new.
Yeah.
Fascia.
Yeah.
Well, you might as well, because you don't know what you're gonna run into when you start opening it up.
See what he was.
Lane Moss told me the other day that he would be interested in doing stuff for the
Do
town
you
too.
want to reach out to him and get a quote?
You want me to?
Yeah.
Sure.
Water, sewer, and gas is on.
When you retire?
You said.
Like I said, yeah, I don't do the damn thing all day.
I don't do fucking thing.
I'll let you call it.
I've already expended.
Because Alan Schmidt says that he was down there the
So
other
I'm
day.
already.
You've already spent over 50.
You don't have his commercial license.
Wow. And that's what's up to the end of. Like we-
Ryder Reynolds can 30 minutes.
Thank-
worth.
Well, you're fine.
Well, I have said.
Right,
No, I
so
haven't.
it's-
Water, sewer, and gas would be April's bills we paid in.
So you still got
Through 1
7
quarter.
months to go.
Yeah, months, I'm gonna work. Wow.
We're going 4 months.
Yeah, 8 months, yeah. And the hot month.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get to the next meeting, so we're gonna look into the billing, insurance billing. I don't know, you were talking about words, I don't know that you all don't just, like for your money, I check, make sure, don't take the gospel. But I know when I was a township trustee, if we did something, giving money or equipment to the fire departments, all it took was a contract. Had to draft a new contract, say, this is, we're gonna do this for this year, whatever. It wasn't, we didn't have to pass, it wasn't an ordinance or resolution or anything, it was just a contract. That the board, like township board approved, and the fire department board, whoever approved. Okay, so, but I would check with, DLGF.
Yeah. Robert.
Robert,
Thank you. Norris.
Yes, yeah, the wizard.
Okay.
He could tell you for sure. So,
I mean, that would be a one-time. That's gonna give us 2026 to figure out what billing for these runs is going to generate. We separate that one into an additional fund where that money goes directly into an incentivized pool. And then that should, I would think, at least cover
Well, I don't-
that.
Aren't we talking, like, for next year, since you all have that money,
For 2026,
say it straight from the
Yes,
township
yes, correct.
trustee's office.
and that gives us all of 2026 to collect on runs and
Yeah.
see what 2027 is gonna look like.
it may be the saving grace. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's gonna be any kind of accumulation because it may be with SB1, the way it is right
Yeah.
now, funding, that may be the only way you keep your incentive program.
Yeah.
So you're talking about keeping the status quo for the 26 budget, but implementing the point system for 27.
No,
Implementing point system for 26.
then
But the additional outside the 200 for everybody comes from town.
Right.
Because they
in
have.
2026, it would be just township paying the additional above the 200. So basically paying for the incentive program pilot program for
That's a good way to say
2026.
it.
And then I won't bill you for half of that, correct?
Correct.
So then that'll be.
The 200 will come,
Gotta come for us. Incentives that come from.
250 or
Well,
wherever they land.
how has that been going though? The 200, is that?
Well, the 200 we have been split.
Yes, we have.
So that
So that would
would be,
stay the same,
yeah.
Okay,
because that would stay on the quarterly statements.
okay.
And then at the end of the year, you tell me what the point systems,
Yeah, I can send you.
and we write out a check at the end of the year. That-
Completely
with no-
separate from the,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry.
And I'll figure out what.
get workers comp.
We'll figure out whether that's through ordinance or.
How are you injured, sir?
Your nose can go.
Correct.
And then
So,
I'm gonna take the things that he sent, some of it already I made notes, I already have a budget for some of this stuff, it's just not under the thing.
So, yeah, I broke that out and made other repairs.
Yeah,
We just don't. count
I did have the two SCBA bottles on there that
They
I like to start buying back yearly that we used to buy.
so I'm gonna put all of this in the 26 budget worksheet, and do you have emails for, I'll just send them to you and you can.
Somebody thinks.
Mine don't work for some reason. I get emails all day, but I didn't get his, that's all. Oh, it's
So I'm gonna,
It's Hotmail.
It's probably in your spam, it's just rejected it.
yeah.
I don't think
Six.
Hotmail, I think your person's, anyway, we're gonna work on it.
Hey,
All right.
I'm kind of selective in the emails I get too.
We'll figure it out.
You just don't read mine, Ben, they're fine.
And this went before your membership, was it unanimous?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody that was down there that night thought it would be a good program.
Okay.
Like I said, the only question that was asked, and I shot it down at that point, was if there's money left in this 10,000, would there be more of an incentive for somebody on down the road? But like you guys are saying, we could possibly do that down the road if we get a cumulative fund.
Yeah, we don't move till.
Yeah.
We've got to have a few years to let that, I mean, it's, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I
I think
think
this is good.
so too.
So I'll put the numbers in worksheet for 26, I'll get them to you, I'll see where they land and.
Yeah, just to get a plan started and
Yeah.
idea about it's going to be.
First step's toughest.
Yeah, and the biggest thing from her standpoint and the chief, I think, is make sure that we're more than clear that, you know, we're trying, but it's a year-to-year basis right now. I know it's in there, but I mean, beating it in their head.
Yeah.
They all seen it, and they
Yeah.
want to see it.
For your sake too, because you're gonna lose.
You're gonna
catch up.
tell.
Oh, That's why
I really like that guy.
The one, so, do you know who to contact at Waitsville?
I will get that.
Yeah, because he probably has that too. You can get that through the chief at Waitsville.
Is Steve still the chief?
I can actually send a text during this meeting.
Yeah.
And see if I get a response.
Yeah, because I'll want to talk to him, because I'll definitely know this now.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, are you, John?
So do we got anything else from township? That's you guys, anything else? Harrison.
Harrison's got something. He's,
You making dinner plans or you got anything else for us?
I don't have anything.
That's very good.
Well,
I'm gonna shut up.
No.
he was asking if the town could just bill for those routes. Rather than a third party,
Oh,
but.
The 10% worth it because you have to have a vehicle to get the billing and the receiving.
And the third party knows what they're doing.
yeah, I mean,
It's worth
The
the
problem,
10%.
the problem is gonna be, yeah, obviously we have to burden somebody here, but it's fighting with the insurance.
What they do,
I think
their idea is to wear you out so you leave them.
yeah. And that company,
They know what
they're making their money only if they get paid.
But you all want.
They're hungry for it.
Yeah. Now, I don't know that 10%. I mean, we'll have to see what the percentage comes in.
Yeah.
We're guessing it's 10%.
But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what we're paying for there, or they're taking this for their the ability to actually get paid.
I think it's worth exploring, we'll just see what the numbers show.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out from there.
because we
Hopefully.
our girls in here couldn't do
Like,
it.
it-
Well, that,
We
we have all the 20.
You don't have it here.
I'm saying you probably don't have it.
No,
That'd be.
we don't have time in here to mess with that and.
I woke up this morning already last night and I thought I had a whole month to get my budget. I was feeling good about it.
Good. All right. All right, thank you guys. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good, very good, very good.
Harrison, come back and you stay longer, okay?
I'll expect your golf cart.
Okay.